So there's a subtle defilement of space. For example, try to ensure that there is no alcohol in the house. Strive for this. Maybe you can't do it right away, but gradually. Even if it is there, it should be in a specific place. It should not be spread all over. Alcohol is a dangerous energy. It brings suffering, destruction to the family. It's the energy of evil spirits. Conversely, there should be icons everywhere. There should be more of God, more divine presence. Wealthy means filled with God. A family should be richly filled with God. It's also important to know that it's very important to have plants in the house, plants in pots. The energy of nature should be present. People like nature. There should be enough nature in the house. If your family lacks nature, you will experience such symptoms as irritability, increased fatigue, children unable to study, lack of strength and concentration, anger, difficulty communicating with each other. The reason is only one. There is a lack of nature's energy in your family. Most often, children lack the energy of earth and water. When there's a lack of earth energy, sleep worsens. Children greatly need earth energy because they are growing. That's why children often have autism and cerebral palsy. What is autism and cerebral palsy? It's tension. Tension is when there's a lack of certain energy and a person becomes tense. Why do they become tense? They need this energy. They spend their strength on it. But they can't get this energy. What is the energy of earth? It is the energy that brings calmness, sleep, relaxation, and tranquility to a person. Water energy, what is it? It's the energy of relationships, love, kindness, tenderness. This energy relaxes, soothes, and leads to normal calmness and peaceful perception. In the past, people lived in nature, on land, mostly near rivers. No one lived where there wasn't any water. There's always some water, even in the desert. Without water, there's no life. Previously, it wasn't like they were digging wells 200 meters deep, right? There must always be some water. People lived on the land and near water, and it brought peace to them. Children always played outside and never stayed indoors. You see, even now, children should play more outside. If it's impossible for a child to play outside, okay, send them to some sports activity. We need to break this stereotype of a life without contact with nature, you understand? The most amazing thing to know is that even if someone currently has no contact with nature, love for nature itself creates this contact. Understand, love always manifests when a person invests a lot of effort and time to build a relationship with nature. Today, a young man approached me when the Blagost Club congratulated me on my birthday. He was so full of happiness. When I first saw him 3 years ago, he was tense and unhappy. His relationships with people suffered before, but now he's full of joy and happiness because he runs 16-18 kilometers and loves nature, rejoices in it. When a person is at home, they still feel memory, and through memory there's a connection. Memory is such a thing that creates relationship and connections. When a person remembers something, they achieve it. You see, nature gives a person the opportunity to be healthy. All the symptoms listed to you, fatigue, poor concentration, it's all just a lack of different energies of nature. For example, when a person lacks the energy of air or prana, they lack concentration. They can't remember things, their productivity decreases, and they become restless. They need fresh air. When a person lacks sunlight, their immunity drops. Hence, they are more prone to viral diseases. Insufficient sun energy leads to poor digestion, stunted growth in children. It's the lack of sun energy. Similarly, when there is not enough energy from the sun, a person lacks cheerfulness and optimism because this is all the energy of the sun. And there is the energy of space as a whole. When a person is in a confined space, they can't see prospects in life, living life within a grid. They are blinkered. They don't realize that everything in life can change. Why? Because they don't see the vastness in front of them like in a desert. Joke. Youth came to the steppe to plant trees. Then an old man took all the trees and uprooted them. In the morning they saw all the trees lying around. They asked, "Where are the trees?" He said, "Can't see the steppe." "What trees?" It's a Kazakh joke. "Can't see the steppe." "What trees?" We need to see the step. We need space. You see, if a person has no contact with nature, no love for it, they become de-energized. We cannot live without the energy of nature. Nowadays, 60% of children struggle to absorb material. They are tense, hyperactive, have poor digestion, and have trouble focusing. You tell them something, they don't hear, don't see. This means that children simply lack contact with nature. It's not the lack of contact with doctors, pills, or hormones, but the contact with nature. And if a person loves nature, they will always feel happiness, even if they cannot go out into nature, because a person can be replenished through memory. Like a gray forest bird from distant centuries, I come to you, Belovetskaya forest, right? I recently gave a lecture in Belarus. Got filled up? That's how one should live. We continue. If you say, our family has a poor fate, me and my children, I live alone without a husband. Will my daughter also live alone? I can't find a job. I live alone. I have no contact with my elders, no connections in life, no protection. It's like there's no refuge in this world, in this country. A man approached me and said, I can't find myself in Almaty. I feel like an outsider here. I replied, but I feel at home here. He asked, why? I say, do you love Muslim culture? He answers, and you? I say, I love it, even though I'm not a Muslim. I say, if you don't love the culture where you live, every dog will consider you an outsider, let alone a policeman. No one will see you as one of their own because you haven't embraced these people, this culture. I am talking about the power of human kindness now. If a woman can't care for everyone, can't love, serve, then she can't get married because she lacks the strength for it. Just as the energy of nature gives concentration, good digestion, efficiency, and tranquility, water gives a person calmness. Similarly, the ability to get married, to find a job, to respect elders, to have relations with authorities, all this is given by love for people. If you don't have a husband, it means you haven't filled yourself with love for people. You lack this strength in your psyche, which is called love for people. If you want to get a job, why can't they hire you? Because you're wild, you lack love for people. If you come to an employer and they see you're not wild, if you're filled with love, love people, love this world, they'll grab you eagerly. You'll be needed because you belong. A person who feels very comfortable, who deeply builds relationships with people, they are never afraid, have no problems, they are fortunate. That is a happy person in this world. Therefore, before getting married, before making serious steps in life, one should learn to serve people, care for people, fill yourself with people, become a person of this country, become a person for people. One can walk the streets differently. One person walks with a smile for everyone, loves everyone, and everyone loves them in return, while another walks timidly, fearing everyone. If a person loves everyone, it means they're filled, they are strong. If your child is afraid of everything, feels isolated, doesn't go anywhere, has no friends, cannot find their place in life, seems numb, with no interests, no passions, it means there wasn't enough love for people in your house. It means friends were never invited to your family. It means you don't have enough friends, you have no love for people, animals, or this world. Because a child living in such a family becomes numb, loses interest in everything, as they are not filled with the force that gives passion to everything. If in your house there's constant criticism, endless obstacles, a severe, insurmountable illness, someone tormenting you, depriving you of life and peace, if you're persecuted in this country and so on, there's only one reason. You lack contact with God. Just as nature provides health, good concentration, efficient work capability, people provide the power to live fully in this society. They give such energy. In the same way, God gives the strength to overcome the insurmountable. I gave a lecture in Minsk and there were many people as well. The hall was packed. One woman stood outside begging, Please, I want to attend the lecture. Let me in for the lecture. But all tickets were sold. Still, let me in for the lecture. The organizers checked and saw one empty seat. Someone didn't come for the lecture, so they seated her in that spot. She began taking notes. She was so engrossed in the lecture. And at some point, the time came for her to leave this world. She began to gasp for air. Doctors rushed to her, checked her pulse, and realized she was dying. Her heart was stopping. We decided to immediately lay her on the floor, started to give her mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. One person breathed air into her mouth, another one massaged her chest. I took my place at the lectern and said, "We will now pray for the life of this person. We will not continue the lecture." The prayer began. Everyone prayed. We played spiritual music, and as everyone was praying, at some moment I felt life stopping in the body of this person. At that moment, I saw a woman in white enter the hall and approach her. You know who this woman is, right? In this world, everything is connected to life. Even death is alive, meaning it's animated. It's this woman on a subtle, unseen level. People can't see her, but everyone feels her presence. She approached her, and at that moment her heart stopped, resulting in clinical death. I started praying louder, and everyone else joined in, praying louder too. I saw that by her own will, she moved away from the dying woman, and her heart started beating. She came back to life. Love and faith are stronger than death. Death, it could have remained. Later, that woman's son told me that she had passed away 2 days after, as it was the will of the higher powers. But death didn't claim her during the prayer. It showed that people, through their prayers, can even conquer death. The death voluntarily left the woman, demonstrating that human prayers can grant life to another. Therefore, there are various right things in this world that one must learn to adhere to. But we need to learn how to live correctly. Pets themselves ask to take them for a walk, because every animal has the Lord in its heart, just as humans do. Besides the soul that resides in the heart, there's also the higher soul. The Lord lives in the heart. And that's why little babies, they cry constantly at home because they lack the energy to grow. And therefore, mothers unconsciously take them outside because nothing else helps. Once taken outside, they fall asleep at once. So when I run in the park, 2 types of people are still in the park. Those with pets and those with babies. Everyone else is so dulled that they don't understand they also need nature. You see, a cow first sniffs the food because through the smell, you can understand whether this product is right for you or not. Even if the product is fresh, sniff it. Maybe it's unpleasant for you, so you shouldn't eat it. It won't help you. So, a cow first sniffs. If I block its nose, I try to do so it doesn't eat. Stops the chewing process. When you unblock the nose, eats again. We first eat, then sniff. You see, it's not that the cow is smarter than a human. It just listens to its heart deeply. A cow knows that this is how it should be done. A cow just trusts the Lord in its heart, as well as small children do, and dogs that want to go outside too, because without the outdoors there's no life. You understand? But we prefer the television. We don't trust the Lord in our hearts. We don't feel the importance of nature. We don't understand this. Because we lack knowledge, a person should learn to live with the help of knowledge, and not with the help of their habits. Now you will know that if you lack concentration, it means you lack nature in your body. It means you need fresh air, you need to go to a park. Trees provide peace to a person. If a person is stressed, let's say a beloved child has passed away, you need to be in a forest, walk in a park, because you lack the energy of patience. Your psyche is torn apart by the fire, the heat which torments you from this suffering that has overwhelmed you. This heat is defeated with the help of the forest. Trees provide peace to a person. When a person walks in the forest in nature, they are filled with calmness. Sings, I'll get off at the distant station, where the grass is up to the waist, and it's good to be with my past alone, to wander in the fields being worried about nothing, not being disturbed by the blue cornflower silence. Today I was asked to sing more. I follow your instructions. Today we talked about the fact that to raise a person, you need to invest your love in them. The first manifestation of love is acceptance. First, you need to accept, just as you need to accept this country where you live, these people. Just like you need to accept your own government, and then you will get along with it. Similarly, you need to accept your own child. If you don't accept, you can't help. Just as well, you have to accept your husband. No matter what you do for your husband, if you haven't accepted him, he annoys you. If he drinks, you can't help him. You first need to digest him, because he embodies your fate. If you rebel against your fate, your husband irritates you. You rebel against your fate. You won't digest or overcome it. When you've accepted your husband, and you can only do it with the help of God through prayer, through holiness. This holiness and purity gives a person the ability to accept the unacceptable, to digest the indigestible. When there's enough of God in the heart, then suddenly, Oleg Gennadievich, I've accepted my husband who drinks. I'm not irritated anymore. Raise your hand. Who did this? Who succeeded? So he will drink less, because as soon as you accept him, your knowledge enters his heart. You accepted the person, which means your kindness penetrated in him unconsciously. He doesn't know about it. Your kindness has already entered his heart. He won't be able to live as he did before, because as soon as you accept him, his conscience starts troubling him in his own heart. Only the kind eyes of a wife who accepted his sin can awaken conscience. My dear wife, you are a saint to me. I'm sorry, I'm a fool. Conscience starts living in the heart. From acceptance, when the wife accepted, no, you're not a fool to me. You're already improving. See, you already understand how everything should be. The time will definitely come when you stop drinking. That is, first, you need to feed a person with your kindness, and then think about educating him. If you haven't accepted the person, there's no point in educating. Do you understand the system? First, feed a person with your kindness, and then you won't need to educate him. Because truly, the most well-mannered people on earth grew up in families where no one ever educated anyone. Because in families where kindness prevails, there's no need to educate anyone. They accept everything on their own will. And if you've already started educating a person, it means your family lacks kindness, because kindness educates by itself. Kindness doesn't mean you're indulgent. If betrayal occurred at home, kindness takes a strict form. Remember this. This is the East, and you should know this. That strictness is the highest form of kindness, but it resides deep in the heart. If there's kindness in your house and your child started smoking, the first time they smoked and came back with the smell, everyone should stop talking to the child. Be strict, but internally. Feed them, give them to drink, and put them to bed kindly. And they will understand that something in their life went wrong. Why? Because the kind environment he grew up in and believes in has rejected them. But at the same time, it remained kind to them. Once I visited my relatives and went to a forest for mushrooms. I was 12 years old. I got lost there. Late at night, I came out in a different place and the police took me home. I came with mushrooms, of course. I said, "Here are the mushrooms I collected. Everything is fine." They took the mushrooms and said, "Thank you. We'll prepare a tasty dish tomorrow," and everyone dispersed. I was left alone. The next day I started smiling at everyone. They all smiled back at me, but nobody talked to me. I said, "I'm sorry for letting you down." And then they approached me and said, "It's good that you went for the mushrooms. But you should have done it very carefully and should have listened to us. We told you not to go too far inside." When they told me all this, I remembered it for the whole life. Because they did it right. They accepted me. They started to be strict with me and kindly explained when I repented. These are the stages of upbringing. You shouldn't tell a person anything until they repent. Just show strictness. But in order to show strictness, you first need to fill their life with kindness. If you filled a person's life with strictness, like one woman who decided to educate her husband, she says, Oleg Gennadievich, I distanced myself from my husband for 2 weeks. Then he calls me and says, can you distance yourself for another 2 weeks? I'm relaxing so much without you. First, she should have filled his life with kindness. Then without her, he wouldn't be relaxing, but he would be missing her. Educate later. First, feed, then educate. Is it clear? Once again, education begins when a person wants it. Even a child should repent on their own, and then the mother can speak kindly. Usually people exaggerate. They are blowing the whole thing out of it. Do you know? What's this? On the contrary, be gentle. I didn't know how to make my wife not leave dirty dishes overnight. In prayer, I realized that she doesn't do the washing up because she's very thorough. It takes her a long time, so she goes to bed late. Then she wakes up late. In short, it's a whole thing. All in all, through prayer, I understood why she didn't do the dishes, but I didn't know how to make her do the dishes so that everything would be clean overnight. And at one point she says, we get a lot of colds in our house. I say, it's because of evil spirits that come into our house. What attracted them? I say, we need to find out where the dirt stays overnight in the house. This is precisely where the evil spirits come in. After that, there was never any dirt left overnight. I didn't tell her to do the dishes. I just found the right way to explain it to her. The right way to explain is to use a metaphorical way. In the East, they know this because metaphorical language is a sign of love. You have to hint at what might be, and the person will guess on their own and do as needed, because there was no violence. No one committed any violence. Children are born with such consciousness. There are already shortcomings in their minds that come out in the process of life. Just as the physical body ages and gets older, the psychic body experiences more difficulties with each passing day. A small child doesn't feel difficulties, so childhood is wonderful. Time always flows very slowly. The more difficulties in life, the faster time goes by, because you have to deal with them and people don't keep up. They live in worries. The older a person gets, the more worries they have. The younger they are, the fewer worries they have. A carefree life means that a person does not feel any difficulties. Childhood is such an atmosphere, such a calm, carefree energy. You shouldn't envy children. Don't tell them, why are you so carefree? Because she or he is still a child. The song Where Childhood Goes by Slivki is playing. Where does childhood go? To which cities? And where can we find a way to get back there? It will go away quietly while the whole city sleeps, and it won't write letters and it won't call. Both in winter and in summer, incomparable wonders await children somewhere, but not here. The energy of childhood is beautiful and kind. Childhood is stretched out. Time is stretched out. Childhood is a time of so many feelings, memories, and experiences. Everything goes smoothly. One should allow a child the opportunity to live in childhood, because childhood gives the ability to love. If one's childhood is taken away, a person cannot love. Seriousness will come with time. It's not a problem. One must learn to love, because without love there is no relationship, no possibility of being together, of being close to each other. Love is needed. Love means seeing a person. The hardest thing is to see the child. Yes, a child has something that causes you immense pain. But that's their destiny. Nothing can be done about it. Don't blame neighbors or friends. Friends made you like this? No. They simply revealed something in destiny. Something was triggered. It's the volume of work. The child began to behave rudely, to swear. He or she began to skip classes, to do things they shouldn't do. Fate has come into play in his life. This fate has always been there. Some say, it's my fault that this happened to you. No, it's not your fault. Don't give yourself too much importance. You're not God to blame yourself for everything. So a child has a life of their own. Something has been triggered in them. Something has been activated in their life. Some element of destiny has been activated. Don't pay too much attention to it. Internalize it in your heart. Pray. But if you're blaming your neighbors, friends, everyone, saying your child's been cursed or they've ruined his or her life, that's it. It means you rebel, you don't accept the child's fate. This child has come to you because of your fate, but everything that happens to them is their own fate. It's not your fault, but you can show mercy. You can make fate soften on your child. This grace means acceptance of fate. There are stages of overcoming destiny. The first stage is acceptance in your heart. Not worry for the child, not fear, but calmness. You've already accepted the child as they are. They say, do you know your child hit their friend? Yes, I know, that's it. We're going to deal with it. Why are you so calm? He hit someone. It's not a big deal. There was a priest sitting there, and someone ran up to him and said, "You're monks, they are fighting." He answered, "Okay, I get it." Another said, "Aren't you surprised that these monks are fighting?" He replied, "No, I'm not surprised. But the fact that they drank, smoked, took drugs, and then became monks, that's surprising. The fact that they still fight doesn't surprise me at all. You should be surprised by the good in people, not the bad." A child fights, it's not a big deal. Accept it, work through it in your life. Understand it's a certain energy. This energy can be directed in a very good way. This child can become a defender of the homeland, a great warrior, brave, courageous, loved by everyone. But if you don't accept it and get scared, you'll break this person. Because he himself doesn't know why he's fighting. Some nature, some power has emerged in him. Every child has some kind of power. Some might say, "You're a boy. Why do you play the piano all day?" It's his strength. Oleg Gennadievich, you know, my child is such a blockhead. It's a nightmare. Have I got a talentless child? I say, why is he talentless? They reply, well, he doesn't go to school, doesn't study. So where does he go? Well, he's on the Moscow youth hockey team. In the junior national team, he plays hockey all day long. He's such a silly boy. I say, there's definitely a fool in this family, but it doesn't seem to be him. And if a person displays a certain nature, a creative power, it's a sign of genius. Personal development happens as follows. First, the creative force is involved in development, and then, just like a mountain grows from its peak, everything else is created. For example, I first had a desire to help people, and then, in order to help people, I had to enter a medical institute. To get into the medical institute, I had to study maths, physics, chemistry, biology, and literature. We had 4 exams. I only got an A in physics and was accepted because I graduated with honors. Why did I graduate with honors? Because I realized that I needed it. That is, I wanted to help people first. And I didn't need that chemistry, biology, or anything else. I just needed to help people. But I began to study everything because the peak of the mountain forms first. The peak is formed, then the slopes are formed. If the mountain peak is not formed, and how is it formed? Something manifests in a person. Why does it manifest? Because he or she dealt with it in a previous life. The memory of what one did remains in a person's heart. My mom told me that when I was 3.5 years old, we were waiting at a bus stop, and she placed me either on a bench or on some cart, she doesn't remember. I looked at the people. People looked at me. I began to recite poems to them. I was 3.5 years old. I recited looking everyone in the eye, Mom says. People surrounded me, started listening, and I read poems to them. Uncle Stepa the Giant. Talents live within a person. They haven't gone anywhere, but they burst out like an avalanche. People can't stop it within themselves. They start to get involved in it all day long. Don't suppress it in a child. They might be getting low grades, spending all day just doing this one thing. Don't pay attention. It's genius, a manifestation of genius. The time will come, and this child will catch up. He or she needs to get involved in the most important thing in life, They've already felt and understood that. What is the destructive thinking of parents? Parents don't see the child. They see what happiness a child brings. For instance, what can bring happiness from a child? Good behavior might bring happiness. Grades might do that. Let's say a child is a genius and has talents from the past life. Maybe in mathematics, let's assume. They will study maths all day long. They don't like literature, art, etc. They won't study them and will get low grades. If parents need grades, they will force the child to do what he or she can't. And they will never succeed in life in this subject because they didn't do it in the past. Too much experience won't come. But when parents need a child, a person, they will give them the opportunity to do what they are good at. And in other areas, they will have bad grades, like Einstein. He had good grades in only one subject, everything else was poor. Later, he caught up. Genius means that a person was engaged in this in the past. If you want good grades, then the child will grow up and say, "Mom, I don't know what I want to be in life." Parents helped. Why? Because they squashed the child's interest. Give the child a chance to do more of what he or she loves. Understand, they already know what they need in life. This doesn't mean that, for example, if a child likes to eat, sleep, and play computer games, they should be allowed to do so. That's entertainment. I'm talking about activity now. There's a difference between entertainment and activity. Activity is what currently benefits or will benefit in the future. Let's say a child is learning to cook. That's an activity. But if they just sit and play computer games, that's not activity, that's inactivity. Engage the child in something related to life. Get them out of virtual reality. And even if they are in virtual reality, let them help someone there. This is the solution to the problem. You ask, how do you get a child out of virtual reality? Don't get them out. Redirect their life there in the right direction. Let them look after someone there. There are different games in which one can care and help someone. There are few such games, but they exist. You can do some good deeds there. Start with this, and there's a rule. If a child starts an activity in virtual reality, they'll soon leave it for an activity outside because their thinking has changed. But if they don't want to do anything, they just want to be entertained, it means you have the wrong atmosphere at home. A child's mind is pure but lacks strength. Children can't get inspired on their own. They are inspired by the atmosphere in which they live. So you really should know that you need to change the atmosphere in your house. You need to change the atmosphere. Let's say mom is constantly talking on the phone, dad is watching hockey, and the child is told, go do your homework. Doing homework is a task of austerity. To perform austerity, you need strength, and you have to get it from somewhere. But there is nowhere to get strength from, because everyone's relaxed at home. Go study your lesson. They will play computer games, not study, because the atmosphere is too relaxed. Have you tried waking up early when everyone else is still asleep? You got up for a while, bam, and then you lay down again. Because the atmosphere is relaxed, it's very hard to fight it. But a child in particular can't resist. They live by the atmosphere. Mom is chatting on the phone. Dad is watching TV. And I'm playing on the computer. It's all the same. Want your child to exercise? You should exercise. Change the atmosphere. Want him or her to do something good? Do something good yourself. Want your child to make friends? You should be friendly. Want them to feed their friend? Feed their friend yourself. The child comes home with a friend. Vasya, your son. Shall we go to eat? And you, Petya, wait here. 20 years later, Mom, you wait here and we'll feed the grandchild. Now Mom has become Petya, you understand? Because she came to your home. Children live in the atmosphere created by their mother. If you're an outsider, sit and wait while our own child will eat. You have to feed the guest first and then eat yourself. I don't need to tell you. So you reap what you sow, you understand? That means learn the right way. Children don't imitate words. For example, a father tells his child, don't swear. He himself doesn't swear at home, but he does swear at work. The child won't swear at home either, but will swear outside. Children adopt the subconscious of their parents. They believe not in words, but in people. They see the person. Children look very deeply. I already mentioned yesterday that children sense thoughts, sense a person's behavior, whether the truth or a lie is being told, and then they do the same. For them, parents are like gods. They imitate them. Children copy their parents. It happens subconsciously. So when children appear in a family, someone in that family must grow up. You have many large families because you love children. In the East, people love children. That's good. It's a sign of a good heart. When people have a good heart, they love children. So you have many children. There are many people at today's lecture because you love children, and I chose this topic. It wasn't me who chose it. In fact, I usually don't choose such a topic. There's a person who told me, come to me and you'll talk about children. Many people talk about a person's temperament without really understanding what it means. There's a subtle psychic structure, which we talked about yesterday, and each part of this structure has its own temperament. There are feelings, remember we talked about feelings, and the activity of feelings creates a person's temperament. This is a superficial thing. You shouldn't attach great importance to it. There are 4 sensory temperaments. The first temperament is called phlegmatic. A person reacts calmly to this world, calmly and judiciously, calmly and positively. Melancholic is when a person reacts calmly and negatively to this world. Negatively, not in a bad way, but from a good perspective. Lyrics from a song. Malvina disappeared. My bride, she ran away to foreign lands. Remember? Piero sang in the cartoon. That's a melancholic person. A sanguine person is a person of quick feelings, quick calm feelings. And there's choleric. These are quick restless feelings. Sensory activity is not very important in life. It matters in terms of speed. Let's say a person works as a dispatcher, landing planes. He must be sanguine, have a quick active response to the situation. Otherwise they won't have time to figure it out, and the plane has already landed. They need to react quickly to everything. Such people should work there. And you need to make microchips very carefully, accurately, not rushing anywhere. Otherwise you'll solder something wrong and the whole chip will be ruined. Or surgeries also need to be done calmly. Otherwise, nothing works. This is a medical joke. Moving on, there's the mind. We're talking about personality types. The Vedas explain that there are different types of angels in space who impart their nature of the mind to all. There are angels, there are demons, and the mind can be demonically or divinely inclined by nature. But these are also just settings. They can be changed gradually. Each setting has its own meaning. A critical mind, this is a demonic mind, is needed to be a detective, an investigator, to see danger in everything. It's necessary. There are temperaments associated with poetry, with creative abilities. There are temperaments linked with justice, linked with truth, and so on. There are various types of people, and all these types are connected to some divine personalities that fill the space with this energy, this atmosphere. With their minds, people copy the higher forces that create these types. The Vedas describe these types. I won't go into details. One way or another, all of this helps a person acquire abilities. There's sensory activity, there's human capability, and there's human nature. What is human nature? It's the activity of intelligence. There are only 4 categories of people by nature. There are many intellectual types, 4 sensory ones, but the most important in a person is the nature of their intelligence. The ability to do kind, selfless deeds and live by these deeds is called human nature or their destiny. A person's purpose is born with them because they were already involved with it in a previous life. You can understand a person's purpose just by looking at a child. There are 4 types of children. There's the scholar type. A scholar will not only be engaged in science and life, it's a way of thinking, perceiving the world. Who is a scholar? It's someone who believes that knowledge will save the world. They believe, they feel in their heart that knowledge is above everything else, that kind of type. The next type is the leader. This person believes that order, social norms, and proper governance will save the world. There needs to be order. Without order, there's no life, no happiness for people. The next type is the businessman. This person believes that wealth will save the world. What order? What knowledge? People need to eat well to have enough of everything in life, or else it's bad. And the fourth type, a person says, neither wealth, nor order, nor knowledge will save the world. One must love their work, one must do their favorite job with love, and that will save the world. The first archetype, scholar. A child is born, an infant. How do they look at you? The child looks with a detached, calm gaze of a sage, as if they are wiser than you and understand everything, know everything. You amuse them, and they are like, yes, yes. It means they are of the scholar archetype. Second option, a child is born, a small child, opens their eyes and looks at you. What's going on? Who are you? Do you understand what I'm talking about? The boss. Strict gaze, serious. You joke with them and they are like, is he telling the truth or not? I need to figure it out. They will never change. They will always be such a boss. The third type, a child is born looking at you smiling. And everyone around, he. Everyone is friends with them. And they are friends with everyone. Businessman. They are friendly, but remember their own interests from childhood. And the fourth type, a child is born already having an interest in something. They like to do something. You give them a toy and they sit with it all day and don't need anything else. Creatively inclined child. 4 categories of intelligence. If you have a scholar by nature born to you, don't send him to boxing. They will punch him in the face and he will be studying the punch on himself. I did the same in Sambo, watched how I was falling, what was happening to me. But I didn't want to knock down the opponent because it would hurt him. I watched who had a hard time, comforted them by saying, you will succeed. A child is born a warrior by nature, a leader. They possess immense courage. They cannot stand injustice. They will step up to fight. A small child might get into a fight, say a 2-year-old against a 5-year-old. They don't care. They have absolutely no sense of fear. It could be a girl or a boy. A girl realizes she's a girl only starting from 4 or 5 years old. Before that, she's just a human. Meaning a girl can fight. There are 2 categories of small children. I'll tell you now how they behave. It's not a problem. I'm talking about types now. There's the girl, the leader type, Malvina. She is a leader by nature, a boss. She arranges all the dolls, sets the order, and directs everyone. The scholarly one, she explains, tells everyone how everything should be done correctly. The scholarly boy also watches, let's say, hockey is going on. The boys are playing hockey, that is, a leader by nature. The team captain immediately begins to command everyone, although no one chose him. Next, the businessman by nature looks at how to outsmart the opponent, meaning he creates strategies to win, he needs to achieve victory. The next type of nature is the passionate one, a creative person. They simply play hockey because they enjoy it, that's all. They don't care who the captain is, what strategies are used, or how to play. And then there's the scholar by nature. He observes the process. What's this game? What's missing? How a coach behaves. What are the natural qualities of the first type of child? Patience, compassion, asceticism, pursuit of truth, the process of knowledge and inquiry. Children ask a lot, they study everything. They are slightly distanced from this world, standing a bit aside. Phone rings in the hall. What does this mean? What does it mean? It means turn off your mobile phones. You'll have the same thing. When you're very, very interested during a lecture, at that moment your loved ones will call you because they're connected with you on a subtle, invisible plane. When a person sleeps, when a person eats, has sex, or listens to a lecture, you need to turn off the mobile phone because at that moment you'll receive calls. Because you feel good and your close ones will also want you to feel good. They love you after all. So turn it off, otherwise they won't let you listen to the lecture. The first type of children by nature are slightly distanced from everything. If you want to motivate them with movement, it's not that they should be immobile, like a smarty in glasses, for instance, right? They also need to be engaged in sports. Motivation is needed. They need to be explained that in order to improve brain function and to understand better, movement is necessary. And then they will move, meaning they need the right motivation. The second category of children, natural-born leaders, have a very pronounced sense of self-worth, focused on victory. Meaning, with the first category of children, you shouldn't give orders. You should explain everything. If you explain calmly to them, they will follow. With the second category, you have to negotiate with the children. You can't order them around. Let's say if a child has the nature of a leader, they won't accept a commanding tone. They only accept positive relations. Remember the cartoon Uncle Fyodor? It's a family of leaders. And Uncle Fyodor, the child, was in charge of whom? Matroskin the cat. He was the main one there, then another leader appeared. It's like the new series of this cartoon. A girl also appeared who also set order. So, it's a family of leaders. Uncle Fyodor is already an uncle. He's still young, but he is already an uncle. Everyone treats him respectfully. The mother explains that when I wear 3 dresses, then I'll come back from the resort. I've already worn 2 dresses. There is 1 more dress left. She explains, you have to negotiate. If you press on a leader, a small child, they will act on principle. They will declare war on you. Girl or boy, it doesn't matter. The third category is a natural-born businessman. How should they be raised? You need to get them interested. You need to be friends with them. Whoever they befriend, they listen to. Whoever they don't befriend, they don't listen to. Meaning, mom and dad should become friends. We're friends, we're together. Together means I listen to you. Mom, what did you want to say? We're all friends, we're together in a way. You and I are of the same blood. You have to be friends with the child. And the fourth category of children, they need to be shown the process. Meaning, they need to be shown what it is, why it is so, for what purpose. Explain the benefit and then they will do it. For the first category, knowledge is needed. This is good, this is bad. A verse is cited. A little son came to his father and the little one asked, what is good and what is bad? I have no secrets. Listen, kids, there is dirt on the face. This means it's bad for a child's skin. Once a person gains knowledge, they will now wash, because they are naturally curious. Next, how to explain the necessity to wash to a leader by nature. You have to tell them, if you don't wash, no one will respect you. You won't be considered high status when you walk around dirty. You will not be a respected person. And they were respected people in their past life. They cannot be disrespected, so they will wash in order to be respected. They have been respected since childhood. They were born like that. It's their nature. And what one shouldn't do. And what is self-esteem and what to do with it. Let me give you a joke as an example. A man managed janitors and hired Karl Marx. He has a beard, a broad face, a wise look. His name is Karl Marx. He was hired as a janitor. He says, I can sweep. Well, okay. But nothing is being swept because people gather around him to discuss the country's politics. The boss says, listen, change your surname and first name. I'll then keep you at work because with a name like Karl Marx, it's clear everyone will be asking you about how to develop the country. There's no work, no one is sweeping the floor. All right, he changed his last name, but people still gather. The manager says, shave your beard, you look exactly like Karl Marx. So he shaves his beard. People still gather around. He says, what should I do then? Karl replies, I don't know. I can shave my beard, I can change my name. But where can I put my brains? Nowhere. If you see your child coming up to you and saying, Mom, this is wrong, I don't agree with this, and you tell them, listen, you're still very young, you're only 3 years old. You're deciding issues whether you agree or not. He's 3 years old, and 4 years ago he was the city's chief prosecutor. You don't know about this. A person's sense of self-worth doesn't change in 4 years. He was born, he feels this way, so he approaches someone and says, this is allowed, this is not. If you say, yes, shut up, who are you here? That's wrong thinking. A sense of self-worth shows what a person used to do before. If you see a child behaving like this, it means there's a deep reason rooted in their past life. If you snub children, they'll lose themselves. How to raise leaders? If you want to raise leaders, you should know that a leader's sense of self-worth has a leadership nature. This means that something has been manifested in them since childhood. They will be experts in something. They will behave as if they already mean something in this world. A small child exhibits such qualities, then they become veiled and then they emerge. When? After reaching sexual maturity. The sense of self-worth becomes so strong and vulnerable that a person without achieving anything in life yet, having no titles, behaves as if they already have it all. When I turned 13, my mom approached me and said, son, this and that needs to be done. I looked at her and said, Mom, I'll figure it out myself, how I should do it. I'm already 13 years old. From that moment on, I figured out what I needed to do on my own. My mother was shocked. At 13, I ran in swimsuits through the snow, swam in ice holes, fasted, ate nothing, tried to understand people's thoughts, their illnesses. Mom says, I'm sick. I'd sit down. Mom, don't say anything. I'll try to understand what you're sick with. I would sit and watch and so on. Everything was awakening, knowledge was awakening. It awakens in every person. There are two categories of parents. Some suppress the sense of self-worth in children, are jealous of them, envy them. Others pay no attention, take it calmly. Those who are calm give the person a chance to become a strong individual. Allow your children to be strong, support their expertise. Young people starting from 13 to 25, up to about 28 years, are establishing themselves in society. It means that a person doesn't have any status, but they once had it, and that's why they behave as if they do have it. Adults should support this, pretending that nothing is happening. It's okay. They shouldn't consider it a humiliation, that the person pretends to know what one is talking about. Once again, I repeat, the sense of self-worth is connected to a past life. It's who the person will become. If someone doesn't feel like a boss, they'll never become one. If someone doesn't feel like a businessman, they'll never become one. If someone doesn't feel they are a doctor, they'll never become one. All these four types of personalities externally can have different abilities. For instance, a scientist might possess leadership abilities. The nature of a scientist. What does nature mean? It means their intelligence, the altruism zone, signifies altruism. This person can selflessly provide knowledge to people, but when leading others, they will earn their livelihood. Abilities exist. They are found in the mind. The mind is a self-interested medium. The intelligence is altruistic. If someone is a doctor by nature, they will treat people selflessly, but they might earn from selling food products, for example. This means they have business abilities, but the nature of a scientist. Humans have two categories. One is called ability, and the other is nature. Abilities emerge when a person has certain needs. If one needs to earn a living, abilities emerge, not nature. When someone says, I want to study business, it's not their nature that manifests itself, it's their abilities. A person's nature is revealed through behavior. Business people love to be friendly with everyone. They have a light, active, agile character. They negotiate with everyone, always derive benefit from everything. They collect everything, try to gain an advantage in life through friendships and good relationships. A leader by nature always brings order, always fights with someone, asserts their opinion. They have a strong sense of self-worth, always wanting to be first, to be the winner. Scientists by nature always study what's right, remain slightly detached from the situation, act in a certain way in order to understand everything. A creative person by nature always looks for what they love and tries to pursue it. It's important to know that human nature is revealed through selfless activity. For example, one child plays with a toy car and says, I will build a house for mom. Another child says, I will build for myself. This means the first one's nature has awakened, and in the second one, their ability. Nature is always aimed at helping others, while abilities are aimed at helping oneself. From this perspective, in personal development, there are 4 stages of development. The first stage is associated with feelings, in communication with the mind, not with intelligence, but with feelings, and it is called a hobby. A person wants to work where they feel good, where they like, enjoying themselves. One person came up to me, Oleg Gennadyevich, I somehow can't find a job for myself. I said, why? He replied, because when I go somewhere, it seems okay, but I don't really like it. I want it for my liking. I said, you will never find a job because in your personal development, you're at the hobby stage. But when someone realizes they need money, they move to the capability stage. One thinks, whether I like it or not, I need to work because I'm out of money, and starts doing what one is good at. They may get tired, it may be hard, and they might not be particularly fond of it, but at least they are making money, so they stick with it. Do you feel what a hobby is? We once had someone come to manage a team in a certain direction. He gathers the team for meetings, interacts with them, but doesn't establish job roles. No matter how much we try to motivate him to complete his tasks, he only does a portion of them. Why? Because he's not developed. He's at the hobby stage. He can only do what he likes, and he just can't do the rest. We can't divide one job into 10 parts. Divide one full-time position into 10 for those who are hobby-driven. We need to hire someone who works, at least according to their capability. If one's capability is to lead, they'll lead. A person's nature is revealed when they've earned enough to live comfortably, they have enough money, but they want to do something meaningful in life. To do something that others would appreciate, to fully devote oneself to life, that's when a person's nature awakens. For example, if someone is a leader by nature, they can lead people in such a way one forgets about oneself and begins to protect people, care for them, ensuring everyone in the group feels protected, well, securely. This means that such a person is naturally inclined to lead people. Second option, a person does business, but also builds a temple or a school. If one is naturally a businessman, such a person not only loves to earn money, but also loves to do something for people using wealth. They love patronage, they love to donate. This means they are businessmen by nature. If a person loves to give knowledge to people, not just getting an academic degree for oneself, and likes to bring benefits through their activities, it means one is a scientist by nature. And if one loves to create statues for people to admire, heal people, or do something they simply like and which benefits others, it means one is a creative individual. To act according to one's nature, one must develop intelligence within. What is intelligence? It's the force that drives a person towards self-improvement, towards self-work. A person who is motivated by knowledge, listens to how to live and changes oneself, has embarked on the path of one's nature. You all listen to the lecture very attentively. This means you have started on the path of developing your nature. Over time, you will come to selfless, joyous labor. Maybe you will have the same profession as now because abilities and nature can coincide, or maybe it'll be a different one. Now you'll say that this lecture is about children, but you've been talking about us. Now I will talk about children. You should know that you can sense a child's nature from their childhood according to the descriptions I gave you. If a child is aloof, truthful by nature, inclined to study, and has a calm, non-confrontational temperament, then that is a scientist by nature. If a person is confrontational, has a strong, rigid temperament, desires power, always defeats everyone, that's a leader by nature. If a child is hyperactive, friendly with everyone, has a cheerful disposition, that's undoubtedly a businessman by nature. If a child immerses in some activity, finds something interesting to do, for example, constructing or something else, that's a creative person by nature. What will a person do in life? One will earn money where one has abilities, because activity by nature requires starting self-improvement. Activity by nature always begins when a person's intelligence is activated. Intelligence is the force that overcomes fate. Until people start overcoming their fate, they will never act according to their nature. Otherwise, only their abilities are activated. Is it necessary to develop abilities? That's also good. For example, the ability to be a manager, an accountant. Abilities have many gradations. Abilities are not just 4 options. A person can have the abilities of a leader, a programmer, and so on and so forth. There are many abilities in this world. Now listen to me carefully. You'll say, Oleg Gennadievich, my child isn't interested in anything. He's a boy. I don't know what his abilities are, what his nature is. He doesn't want anything. He doesn't need anything in life. He just sits at the computer. And I don't know what to do with him. You should know that for a boy, before he even develops a hobby in the first stage, there's a certain developmental stage, and without it, a man will never become a man. This stage is called the ability to engage or to awaken. That is, to stop lying on the stove or to stop being spineless. Is that clear? This ability in a man is triggered through movement and victory over his own body. Therefore, a boy should be enrolled in a sports section. There, they will compete with him, they will conquer him. He needs to become a man through movement and willpower first. If a man hasn't become a man, he'll never be able to develop as an individual. He won't know what to do, where to study, where and what to work as, how to live. He won't have such an opportunity because first you need to make a man out of a boy. That is, you have to activate him. You understand? Initially, let's say, a boy is passive, willless, he doesn't want anything. He's idle. This means he's not activated yet. He needs to be made a man. Make him move. He should be forced. One woman asked me, I'm telling you an extreme case. Oleg Gennadyevich, I have 2 sons. Both don't work, they live off my salary, and they drink it all. What should I do with them? I say, please, kick them out of the house and don't give them any money. Ladies, hear me out. A boy who stays close to his mother, who loves him dearly, will never become a man, even if he lives with her until he's 40 or 50. He will also never get married, you understand? So, if your child roams the streets, smokes cigarettes, hangs out but doesn't want to do anything, this means he's also not activated. A boy who hasn't been activated not only plays computer games or lies on the couch. You understand? It also means a thug, a reveler. Being activated means he overcomes himself. He goes to training, works on himself, surpasses himself, that is, he does something. A man needs to become like this first. Only after that, after some time, will he have the ability to understand what he should be doing. A man comes to me and says, Oleg Gennadyevich, I don't know where I should work. I reply, to figure out where to work, you need to work where you succeed for at least 3 years. He says, I can't work for 3 years. They pay little money there. I say, then you won't understand what you should do. He asks, why? I reply, because when a man works in one place for a long time until he starts enjoying his work, feeling happiness from the process itself, that's when he understands where he is better off working. Because he has developed a love for work. And now this love starts to diversify. He begins to understand through his love for work where he prefers to work. And if you don't love to work, nothing will be activated in you. You won't understand where you prefer. So, a man should first stay in one place for a long time, get used to any job, and learn to love work. A joke. A soldier is sent to a training unit. He's given a crowbar, and the warrant officer says, sweep the asphalt. The soldier sweeps but says, please give me a broom. I can sweep the asphalt better with it. But the warrant officer replies, I don't need you to sweep better. I need you to get exhausted. Do you understand what I'm saying? He needs to be activated to become a man.
At what age should a man be activated, and until when?
Oleg Gennadyevich, a man has no age. Activate him whenever necessary. You can, for example, activate him at 50 and he will become a man. A man can only be activated by force. If a woman doesn't give him a kick, he won't get activated. Ladies, I'm talking about your beloved son now. To prevent the boy from becoming too soft, enroll him in a sports club from the age of 7. Better before he's 3, the earlier the better.
So what if he refuses?
If he refuses, look for another place. If he refuses everywhere, force him. Don't let him go home. You need to reach an agreement. It means he's a leader by nature. You can't force him. You have to negotiate with him. You too are a leader by nature. You also can't be forced too much. The girl just shouted at me. You also can't be forced. You are a leader by nature. He is a leader. Remember, a person's nature is passed on by gender. So, if a mother is a leader by nature, the son will be a leader, not the daughter. If she is a scholar, turn off that unpleasant voice.
Oleg Gennadyevich, can I ask? My brother went to sports clubs as a child, and after 25, he lost interest in sports.
It's a bad astrological period, but he should come out of it too. He got activated and then deactivated. The bad period deactivated him. You need to activate him again. Before he learns something in life, he must be activated first. A man needs to be activated, you see, my friends? This was done in ancient culture as follows. They took the child from the breast, tore him away, and sent him to school. Vedic school means goodbye mom, goodbye dad, for boys. Hello teacher. Who's the teacher? It's the one who gives you a hard time. That's why it's good to send children to the army to activate them. She says, in the army they will torture him. Let them torture. That's the point. Listen further. So the first stage for a man is a spineless stage, right? The second stage, an activated person, right? For a woman, it's the same. For a girl, the first stage is called a princess on a pea, not spineless. A princess on a pea is such a dreamer. She doesn't want to do anything. Mom will prepare everything. I think, dream about a family, about everything I dream. Why don't I cook? Because it's such a dirty, impure activity. I'm very pure, elevated. You see, a princess on a pea, a young girl. To activate a girl, you need to involve her in household chores, cooking, washing, cleaning. The mother should not do anything. Her girl is 8, 9 years old. She does everything. The mother does nothing. If a mother lets her daughter live in bed, the mother cooks, the daughter eats, she spoils her child. To activate a girl, you need to involve her in household chores. And the girl also gets involved through creativity, through sewing, drawing, through dancing, through singing, and so on. You see, there are 2 types of activation. Because a girl needs to sing, to dance, to become a strong personality. The strength of a female character is acquired through creativity. If a woman engages in creativity, she becomes strong as a woman. It means attractive. She can dance or draw or sing very powerfully. That is, she's an attractive woman. Her creative abilities are highly developed. A woman's self-worth, her influence developed through creative abilities, and her ability to do something develops through serving loved ones. In order for her to grow up as a normal person, to be pleasant to her husband, children, she needs to be taught from childhood to care, cook, wash, clean, and so on. If she doesn't want to, it means you have no connection. It means you are not interested in your child. Kindness is needed. You need to melt the girl's heart. You need to communicate with her, approach her, accept her, love her as she is. Lazy, unhappy, tormented, because you are the same. First, accept her. Find the same in yourself. Start with her to emerge from this state in communication and kindness. A girl is raised through conversation. A boy is raised through willpower. A boy needs someone to apply willpower. That is, he needs a man, whether it's the father or someone else, who will say, let's go outside for a run. He will reply, go run by yourself. No, we will go with you. Give me your hand. That's it. He's involved. He says, are you a man or not? Are you a boy, huh? Come on, you're already a man. He's 7 years old. A man is needed who will exert willpower alongside. The boy likes it. He will run and he will conquer and win. He will engage in life, a man's life. A man is stimulated, motivated by victory. And the biggest obstacle in a man's life, how to motivate a boy, is the feeling of personal imperfection, inferiority. So you need to tell the boy, well, look, I'm better than you. Look, I'm more developed. You want to be like that? Yes. Well, let's go running. Got it? That is, you need to motivate the boy with the right things. Why does he go out to the streets, pierces his cheeks, nose, eyelids, brain? Because he sees this is coolness. He needs to be shown the right things, what real coolness is for a man, what real strength is. It's not piercing your teeth and lips, but becoming strong. You understand? That is, you need to motivate him for the right things. Proper communication is needed. It means some man needs to accept the child first. A girl also develops through motivation. That is, women are motivated by harmony. And the biggest thing in their life is fear. Fear of being alone, not getting love, relationships. So you need to motivate that. Say, you're a girl, you need to be harmonious, beautiful. Now, explain kindly, but if you have no connection with the child, it means there's no kindness in the house. No, energy of kindness, everyone will be repelled. Everyone stays on their own. Kindness is created with the help of God. There needs to be prayer in the house, icons, the Quran, consecrated food, you understand? Otherwise, there will be no contact with the child, no life for the child. Being repelled means there's a lack of kindness, a lack of acceptance. You've scared them, stressed them. You have no relationship with them. The child doesn't believe you, doesn't trust you as a person.
Oleg Gennadievich, should we force them to read?
To force means to stimulate, to motivate. For example, I sit down next to the child, citing a poem. The gloomy moment, the charm of your eyes, I enjoy your farewell beauty. You need to say to the girl, look, how harmonious. How beautiful, do you feel it? Let's read together. I love the lush fading of nature, you say to the girl. And to the boy you should say, listen, you can't do it like that. See, you can't do that.
And he says, well, okay.
Well, okay, that's how he's fighting with you, battling. It's okay, the process is ongoing. The time will come when he will start doing it, because the motivation for a boy is inferiority. It's good if girls laugh at him. He, you can't read, he. Well, okay, but he thinks he should start reading.
And when girls start disfiguring themselves, piercings, hair?
It means they're not occupied, simply. It's a sign of idleness, meaning the child needs to be really occupied so they don't have free time. As soon as free time appears, they start making something up. They need to do something with themselves, just idleness.
And what if they are occupied?
Undesirable communication. They imitate other girls, they watch each other. Undesirable communication. One must learn. This is the next topic I would like to discuss tomorrow. We underestimate the environment in which children live. You understand? The environment is destructive. We need to create an environment. We need to watch moral films at home, discuss them. Children will engage, listen to it. You understand? You need to make your child communicate with good boys. You understand? You need to motivate this environment. You need to make huge efforts in this regard because everything here is destructive. It's always very noticeable. For example, if you go into the army or in an orphanage, the most evil, most destructive people are always the most popular. This means that all the destructive motivation is always very pronounced and always in plain sight. But all the best things are modest and unnoticeable. Adults are those who show the best things and minimize the worst. That is, they show what we don't need and what we do need. We need to cultivate positive, correct motivation at home, and then proper development will follow. If you don't prove to a child that all this is bad, then they will be drawn to it. But if they realize it's wrong, they will think, well, we don't need this. A child should have an aesthetic sense, knowing what's good and what's bad. If it's not developed, they will be drawn to the bad. An aesthetic sense is not instilled with mockery. It's instilled with a deep understanding of things. A child must deeply understand that dirty, ragged jeans are ugly. Then they simply won't wear them, even if it is in fashion. What? They're not in fashion now? They used to be. You see, you don't think it's fashionable and your children won't either. So you've grasped it, but others haven't. Kindness is the power that defeats fate. If you want to win the court so you're not sentenced, not put in jail, you have to accept all the judges, accept those perpetrators who falsely testified against you, and so on. First, accept everything and then defeat all of it. Become stronger. When you are interrogated, if you explain everything kindly, they will listen to you. You're not angry, you just speak the truth. You have power, you are calm. This means the truth is on your side. If you are scared, angry, nervous, accusative, hateful, the truth isn't on your side. The truth is on the side of the one who has defeated fate. When God is in the heart, a person is kind, treats everyone kindly, and they are calm. Yet they don't hide anything. They speak the truth. I am not guilty. This is slander. Kindly. If fear and doubt lurk in the heart, it means a lack of God's strength. This means that, according to fate, they should be jailed. Conquer fate in your heart. Everyone will see it and everyone will forgive you. That's it. Similarly, you need to conquer a child's mood by first accepting it. If a girl comes up with this, fine, we accept it. And with the help of knowledge, we then communicate, look, how do you like the picture? Look, this one here, this perverted one, or this one, pure, beautiful. Which one do you prefer? She will say, I like this one more. Okay, but I prefer this one. You communicate, but then say, all right, fine, you prefer this one, it's okay. A woman approached me and said, Oleg Gennadievich, You say old people are good, but what if he's drunk, lying in a puddle of his urine, drunk? Is he still good? I say, yes, it's just a particular stage of human development. If you accept him, then he will evolve from that stage. If you don't accept him, he won't evolve. It's your choice. Animal trainers take tigers, predators, and make them obedient. But if they were to say, oh, this tiger, it's such a nightmare, it could tear everyone apart, we shouldn't deal with it. A trainer takes a tiger from a forest and makes it obedient. He knows it's a tiger, yes, it can bite off a head. So, the trainer is initially cautious, but treats it kindly, and eventually, the tiger stops biting off heads. It growls, just because it needs to.
Does a husband's fate depend on his wife?
Depends on the wife's mercy on mercy. The husband has his fate, but the husband's fate is also your fate. Because you see your past life in front of you. A woman approached me and said, Oleg Gennadievich, how can I see my past life? Just like you. I say, look at your husband, that's your past life. She says, I can't believe that. I reply, that's why you don't see it. She says, my husband is so rude, Oleg Gennadievich. A man's rudeness and a woman's sensitivity are the same thing. A sensitive woman in a man's body becomes rude. And what if he's lazy, Oleg Gennadievich? It means you're hyperactive, a workaholic. A workaholic woman in a woman's body and a lazy man. Oh, then yes, we are alike, exactly. My darlings, it's very hard to accept what's ours, but we must. What God has given is yours. Look, you live together and suffer, then it's yours. It means you've earned it at some point. Acceptance means the first stage of victory. First the person is accepted, then it gets calm in the heart. Everything will be fine with me and Vasya, everything will be okay. So it's already the first stage of victory over fate. Then the second stage, influence on Vasya. Vasenka, you drink so beautifully. I always have to wash your pants afterwards. You're starting to smell like urine, my dear. That is, she starts explaining to him and it reaches him. He says, oh my dear, I really need to quit. Because she can now influence him with her words, and her kindness reaches deep within. First, I accept, then I explain, and then his heart begins to change. Which of you is calm about your husband drinking? Raise your hand. Like, he drinks, it's not a big deal, everything will be okay. Who feels this way? Raise your hand. The first stage of victory over fate. Who can already explain and the person listens but cannot quit? The second stage of victory over fate. And who says, I'll quit anyway? And he's slowly starting to quit. Raise your hand. The third stage of victory over fate. That's it, he'll quit soon.
And if he stops coming home drunk?
That means you have the atmosphere at home that I've been talking about here. You begin to pray, you started hanging icons, you started to bless the food. And now he can't drink at home, but he drinks elsewhere. That's all. The cheerful spirit can't enter your home by itself anymore. This is what I'm telling you about. I'm not telling you fairy tales, but real life. Learn to see your children as you've seen them since childhood. Remember them. That's how they are. This is their essence. And always communicate with this essence. Never associate with something that caused you pain. Don't come down from this platform. Look at your child as purity and always explain everything to this purity. Then this purity will respond in them and hear you. Every person always has an evil force and a good force. The good force is the basis, the essence of personality. It always wins. That's why God allows parents to see the purity and beauty of their child from childhood. Keep this as the foundation of your vision and always address this purity. Everything else will follow. You can prove and explain everything to your child if you consider the rest unimportant. About the soul. Now let's sing from the heart, the song of the ensemble Divya Rosa, Look What a Beauty. Don't kiss it on the lips. Just touch it with your heart. Look at such purity, nothing tarnishes it. The naivety of a blank page saves from empty words. Look at such kindness. It preserves hope that without discord and whip the heart will gain insight. Look, how high it is, that's impossible to reach. From the highest cliffs in the world, the moon and the sun seem like sources. Your questions regarding today's topic. Not about what you plan to ask, but about what you wish now to ask. The answer to the question. This means that the mother will definitely get the result of her preferences. Any child's focus leads to such a result that it will be hard for the mother to look at it all. If the parent's aesthetic sense is initially perverted, they encourage smoking, pizza among children, sooner or later the daughter will come to the point where her mother will shudder. Because children have no limits. They can get to the point, they will surely get to the point where you shudder. Therefore, do not encourage perversion in a child. Wearing torn pants, it doesn't mean we are outdated. It's already progressive fashion, as if it's a new fashion, more progressive. But it's not fashion, it's foolishness. And foolishness always leads to more foolishness. There are sort of subtle things, you understand? Torn clothes on the legs mean easy accessibility of a girl to boys. That's it. It means vulnerability. So you need to know the truth. Truth is above lies, and it protects children. You say, how will she even get married if she is not like everyone else? Those who are like everyone else, they don't get married, they become prostitutes. And those who are not like everyone else, they get married. Because there are two categories of desires for men concerning women. The first is the desire for sex, and the second is marriage. A man marries only a pure woman. And he looks at all other women in order to take advantage of them. So don't let your girls have a cheap perception of the world. Explain who will get married and who will not. Just need to wait. Those who behave incorrectly quickly get in close relationship, but do not get a good result from this. About the topic of the lecture, right? Ladies over there in glasses, right? Can the elder child in the family interfere with how the parents raise the younger one?
And how to do it correctly so that...
First, you need to learn to respect your parents. When you respect your parents, they can hear you. Because always, when you address your parents disrespectfully, it means there's no truth in your heart, no matter what you say. Everything else is rejected. Therefore, let's say that if a child has great respect for the parents, they say, "Mom, I have doubts about the method of education that you use. Maybe it's right, but my little sister cried all day yesterday. I think when she cries, she doesn't quite understand what is wanted from her. But I don't understand everything. Maybe you did everything right, Mom? I love you. Kisses."
Well, I've been listening to your lectures for a long time, probably since my second year of university.
I have a difficult situation in my family. My brother is a little depressed. He had a tough situation in life, and it's hard for him to get out of this depression and pull himself together.
OG, does he want to get out? No, he blames the father. OG, you need to pray so that he wants to get out.
You need to pray for him to want to get out. Once he wants to, you need to tell him gym, running, tempering, push-ups, pull-ups, movement is needed. A man starts everything with movement. A girl starts everything with art. You should send a girl to clubs like skillful hands, skillful legs, skillful eyes, anything. But a boy should be sent where he will overcome fate to start striving, panting. That's it. Next, whether a man or woman, it doesn't matter. If a woman is depressed, go to the Skillful Hands Club. That's all. If a woman in depression begins to create some kind of art, she turns on, she begins to live. For a woman to live, she needs love, the energy of love. Love means creativity. As soon as she starts to create something, she starts to live. For a man to live, he needs victory. Victory over himself first. Do push-ups, pull-ups, run, temper yourself, you will become a person.
Yes, of course. He actually exercises. But why is there no awareness of taking life into his own hands?
That's the next stage. Everything's okay. He needs to engage himself more, and he will. You see, a man needs a strong-willed impulse to take life into his own hands. Because there's this concept of a zone of dangerous responsibility. Dangerous and heavy responsibility. Such a zone of dangerous and heavy responsibility for a woman is her family. Therefore, it is easier for her to work, study somewhere, but just not think about marriage. Because that is the zone of dangerous and heavy responsibility. It's tough there. So she runs away. She wants to study and wants to go to England. But she doesn't think about her personal life because she's afraid of it. In the same way, for a man, the zone of dangerous, heavy responsibility is work. He'll do anything, just not that.
How should my mother behave towards him?
She should give him the whole world. Give him the whole world so he goes and lives anywhere but not at her home. And then he'll instantly become a man. My mom told me, "Son, we can't help you. Go and apply to the university on your own. That's it." Those were golden words, and I'm grateful to my mom. I immediately started acting. It was impossible to get admitted there, 5 people per place, and only those with good connections could get that place. Yeah, I had to stand out in order to get into the university, and I studied physics until smoke was pouring out of my head, and graduated with a gold medal. And then I passed one exam with a score of 5 and got admitted. And they started asking at the exam. I only answered one question from one examination paper. He says, prove Ohm's law in 3 ways. I proved it in 4. He says, explain this method. We don't know where it came from. I explained it. He says, enough, you may leave. You got A, that's all. I did this very confidently and decisively. I asked what else to do. The examiner looks like that. I mean, I just did it by sheer willpower. This is how a man should live. I felt this in school because my mom said, I can't help you, son. I give you the whole world. Your question. Hello, Oleg Gennadievich. Happy birthday. Thank you. I wanted to ask you about your mother's reaction when you walked in trunks in the snow. Well, yes, I was like that. I was driving my mother mad. My eldest daughter is 17. She's having a tough time right now. And in general, my middle daughter, who is 11, is also going through the same phase. They want to do everything on their own and think, Mom, you're not an authority. You don't understand something. Tomorrow we will be talking about teenagers all day. We will discuss this topic, work hard on it. I see. How did your mother react? She endured. She allowed you to do what you wanted. It wasn't possible not to allow it. I say thank you. I didn't talk to anyone for 6 months. I found out that to see a person by means of subtle vision, you need to focus on this point here for 6 months and not talk to anyone. I focused. I was in 9th grade. I focused and didn't talk to anyone. I looked at the teachers in such a way that they didn't ask me questions. I sat down and studied everything completely, learned everything, and was looking at the teachers. With such a look that they thought, I won't ask him, he knows everything. But my mother noticed that I wasn't talking. It was hard not to notice. And she just endured. Didn't you even write to each other? I didn't speak. Just kept silent and focused on this point. I was a crazy kid. I ran barefoot in the snow for several hours, swam in the ice hole. Didn't eat for several days, starved, fasted. I started doing this from the age of 15. Then she went to a psychiatrist who diagnosed me with schizophrenia. And she told me, son, do you want to find someone who understands you? I know a woman who will understand you. I said, of course I want to, Mom. She tricked me into seeing this psychiatrist who diagnosed me. And I need to apply for a university. Then another psychiatrist appeared who removed the diagnosis and said that she herself was ill. She didn't understand what was happening to me. Well, in general, it's an interesting story. Once I stopped growing, just all the boys outgrew me. And I was thinking how to grow. I started eating carrots and turned yellow. We had a jaundice epidemic at school. From eating carrots, I turned yellow and was hospitalized in the infectious disease ward. A doctor entered the department. He looked how I was standing on my head. And the first symptom of viral hepatitis is extreme weakness. A person can't even walk due to such severe weakness. And I was standing on my head. He looked at me, said, "Understood." As he realized that I didn't have hepatitis, they just stopped feeding me only carrots. I turned pale after 2 days and they discharged me. I said, "Give me a carrot." And he said, "Why do you need a carrot?" "I want to grow." He's like, "I get you, okay, no more carrots." My mom put up with all of this. I need to catch up to such level, thank you. Nothing could be done. I mean, there were no options. Did you grow up without a father? I grew up with my father. You don't talk about him. Well, because he wasn't really involved in my life. My spiritual teacher became my father. At what age? At 28, I found my spiritual tradition and found my teacher in that tradition at 30. How to find a teacher? When a person is ready, God Himself gives a mentor and faith to a person. God knows everything about us, no need to search for anyone. We think we find a husband ourselves. God sends a husband. A doctor came to me and asked how to find clients. I say, "You need to learn to heal." He says, "That's obvious." Then how do I find clients? I say, as soon as you learn to heal. God will find clients for you. Because people will feel that you can help them and tell each other about it. You won't be left without clients. If you learn to heal. But you need to learn to heal. Just like when a woman becomes worthy, it's easy for her to get married, because when she becomes the one to be married off, guys will line up. So first become a girl, a woman. Become filled with such qualities, and there will be no shortage of suitors. When a man becomes a man, it's easy for him to find a girlfriend. All girls sense men, and they also sense spineless men. So, from the back, lady, your question? Happy birthday to you. What are the reasons that kids are always on their phones? Does it depend on the atmosphere at home? The reason why kids are always on the phone? Is it because the atmosphere at home is like that? When everyone sleeps, kids want to sleep. When everyone watches TV and talks on the phone, they're on the tablet. Well done. You've understood everything. Listen to me. Look, this is a separate topic for discussion. It's really complex to fully understand it. But in general, I can tell you that all of humanity is immersing itself in a consumerist mindset. This means we don't want to do anything. We want to be entertained. We want to observe this world, want to live not our own lives, but someone else's. This is the atmosphere of the entire country, the entire world. Instead of living their own lives, everyone on earth is living someone else's life. People used to watch the movie of their heart, you understand? They saw nature, they saw people. I'd step outside, see girls walking around the village, and it'd make me happy. That's how life was. Now, no one steps outside. I arrived in San Francisco and asked, "Where are the people?" He said, "They're all in cars." You see, it's a different way of living. People don't see each other. They don't seem to want to visit each other. They don't make the effort to communicate, to be friends. because our closeness is disrupted by virtual space. It has entered our lives and keeps us apart. There's this clip. A boy and girl were chatting over the phone. They sat on a bench together and continued talking. It's like a comedic skit, but there's profound meaning in it, you understand? When they put down their phones, they quarreled, separated, started calling each other again, and resumed their friendship over the phone. Because they can't communicate directly, their psyche has atrophied. So, learn to live. As soon as you get involved in real life, the child will disconnect from the computer.
The child steps out of the corner in which they have been placed. For how long should they be put back in?
It means that this child is a natural leader. You should negotiate with them. If they don't want to return, just ignore them as if they're not in the house. You can't deal with a leader any other way. You won't be able to force them. They are self-reliant. They are warriors. They were directors of a factory in their previous life. What corner? What are you talking about? Who would put the director of a factory in a corner, huh? They are young. They no longer remember that they are not factory directors anymore. They are now living a different life. But the feeling remains. Your question.
Until the age of 5, my girl was calm and affectionate. Now she's 8, and it's like a different child. She responds no to all suggestions, demands everything.
Accept her as she is. It's an emotional phase for her. Her feelings are currently very active. In other words, she is intensely aware of everything and is highly vulnerable. It's difficult for her to accept people and everything around her. She's become very vulnerable. It's a phase in her life. Accept her as she is. Start treating her super delicately and hypersensitively. Don't touch her. It's hard for her to be around people, so give her a chance to be alone. She will accept you, and all will be well once you understand her. You were afraid of this phase, afraid of her condition. Fear signifies defeat. Accept fate. When a tank approached a warrior, he thought he'd be fighting another warrior like him, but a tank arrived. You must first accept fate. To defeat the tank, you must accept fate. First, you need to calm down and accept your fate. If you don't, you'll be killed.
And some tasks I kindly ask, help, do something, and she answers no. What should I do? Accept?
Yes, that's normal.
Now she has a newborn baby brother. 2 months old, no interest in him, doesn't help.
Doesn't pay attention, not interested at all. You have now diagnosed a person's state. The person is deeply shocked by fate. Fate has thrown her into a certain state. You need to pull her out of this state with your kindness. She doesn't want to get involved. It's no big deal. Let her not get involved. Everything is fine. Everything is calm. All is good. The girl doesn't participate, but it's okay. Smile at her. My dear, sit here if you like it. She'll gradually thaw out once she sees that everyone loves her. That's all.
She often asks, do you love me?
Yes, of course we do. Please come help me with the baby brother.
I don't want to, she says.
She doesn't want to because it's hard for her.
Nothing for the newborn baby.
Now look, who is tuned out, the mother or the daughter? I explain to the mother what's happening with the daughter. She explains her perspective to me. This indicates shock, psychological shock. From the pain of what has happened to your daughter, you can't make sense of anything.
I'm a grandmother.
All the more reason for you to understand what's going on with the person. I say that the person is in a very sensitive phase of life. She was with someone. She felt tired and sat down to rest. Why? Because she's very sensitive. She's going through such a period now. You need to give her peace. Otherwise, she'll end up in a mental hospital. If you don't understand someone's condition, they will lose themselves. Are you involved now, grandmother? You should have done it yourself. By yourself, you understand? You just had to accept the person in such a state. If she behaves this way, there's a serious reason for it. Look for friends in life, not enemies.
I try to talk. I say, what happened? Explain.
No need for explanations. Understand the person with your heart. Feel the person. I felt you. You're in shock. I told everyone, including you. Why are you in shock, my dears? Because you don't know how fate acts. Fate can do anything. I was giving a lecture in Minsk. On the first day, a woman decided to pass away during the lecture. She begged strongly to attend the lecture because it's very auspicious to pass away during a prayer. What should I do? That's my fate. I accepted my fate. A lady in white came to the lecture. Is it pleasant to give such a lecture or not? I have a choice, to accept this or to be in shock. At another lecture, a man dressed in black came into the hall. He stood behind me with an angry face, and everyone in the hall turned pale. I had a choice, to run or to stay. I stayed. The man stood for a while and left. He realized he had failed. He just wanted to scare me. Everyone has their fate. Fate isn't simple. And we need to learn to accept it. Because if you don't, it'll get worse. My daughter had a situation where she couldn't study at school. And the teacher said that my daughter was under bad influence. She no longer wanted to do her homework. I had a look at my daughter and realized that she had a very hard time with her studies. She was going through a tough time. The teachers insisted. I told them that if she went to school then, she would have lost her mind. They said, prove it. I took her to a psychiatrist. He looked at the child and said, that's the case. Well, we skipped a year. She went to school the following year, but I preserved her mental state. And if I had panicked, oh, my daughter doesn't study, the result would have been different. Accept fate, because anything can happen to a child. You don't know what's happening with them. I've already told you what's happening. The lecture should end in 10 minutes. We have many flowers, candies, and I need to give them out to you. Everyone, sit up straight. I'm much obliged to you for your active participation in the talk and to you, lady, for your honesty. Everything's fine. You helped me raise a very important issue. Many parents don't understand their children. Tomorrow we'll talk more about this, about the transition period, what happened to my child, what to do about it, how to live with it now, and so on. Now we will study what people usually don't study. It's a deep aspect of life and destiny. It's about listening and immersion in purity. This is called prayer. It means one should listen to those who are praying and repeat, "I wish everyone happiness." Immerse yourself in that sound. Dive into that atmosphere. Dive until you stop forgetting the pain of your heart, your destiny. Heartache will begin to diminish the moment you forget the pain of the heart and remember this purity and beauty. And when you recall it, it won't be as significant to you as before. This is the beginning of overcoming fate. People think, "I just calmed down, it's self-suggestion." No, it's not self-suggestion. The next stage will be influencing. A loved one leaves you, and you can talk to them in a way that makes them think. Then their hearts will change.